Whenever I start a SpeedEDIT project, I like to create a directory to work from. So I'm going to go to my video drive, and for mine I'm going to go into the content folder, and I'm going to create a folder that I'm going to work from for my SpeedEDIT project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on New Folder and create a folder called The Project, and let's go into that folder. Now inside the project I'm going to create a folder called Video. I'm going to create a folder called Audio. Let's create one called Stills. Create one called Finals for the final renders that we're going to do. Let's create one called Titles. Let's create one called DVD for any DVD authoring information we might want. Let's create one called Projects to hold all the SpeedEDIT projects that are going to be associated with all of this content. And that's where I can start. I can always add folders later if I want to add other types of media and then keep it all associated with one project. And that way, later on, if I should want to move this project to another folder, I just need to take the project folder and transfer it off, and everything that I need that is associated with my project will be in one folder. Now, there are other ways to back up your projects from SpeedEDIT automatically, and we'll talk about those as we get further into the training. When working with the Add Media bin, we can set up shortcuts to get to areas of the hard drive that we want to access very often. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the folder that I set up, the project, and I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to click on a plus. And that's going to go ahead and set up a shortcut for me right out here, but it puts in the entire path, and right up here you can see the path of the content that I'm currently going to, which is being displayed right here. So I want to make a shorter version of this. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to rename that tab, and I'm just going to call it The Project. So now I've got that, and I can always get to this folder very, very quickly and easily. Now there's a little slider down here. Once you get more shortcuts than can be displayed at one time, you can use your slider to get back and forth. You can also rearrange them. Let's say the project is more important to me. I can just slide it over and put it into the first position here, so that I can get to it whenever I want. There are some default shortcuts that come in when you launch SpeedEDIT. My Projects gets you to the default projects directory, and this is actually useful. This is where all of the undo redo stacks are going to be sent if you don't set up a project that you're working with. So if you're in an untitled project, this is where the undo redo stacks are being saved, and it's very possible you may want to go back there sometime to load up one of those undo redo stacks to save a project that you maybe lost. So we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get into working with the editor. But you might want to go ahead and keep My Projects as a shortcut. My Documents, a lot of the video that comes into your machine, a lot of the audio that comes into your machine may be there, so you might want to keep that. You have a shortcut for effects and titles. You have one for transitions, and then I've created my own SpeedEDIT 2 for the content that I'm creating to make this tutorial. And then back here we have the project, which is the folder that we just made. Now we want to go ahead and copy all of the content that we're going to use for this project in here. So all the video that we're going to use gets copied into here, all the audio gets copied into audio, all the stills into stills, and so on. Now if you're working with cameras that are tapeless, you want to get the media off the camera and copy it onto the hard drive of the computer that you're going to be editing on. So go ahead and copy that into your video folder. Now you can also bring clips in via hard drives, so USB drives or FireWire drives, you can copy them on. You can bring clips across the network, and SpeedEDIT will work with a huge variety. So MPEG, AVI, QuickTime, MXF, AVCHD, and SpeedEDIT works with all these file formats natively, so there's no transcoding. You just take the files, you put them in the editor, and you start working with them right away. Now I've copied all of my media into the project folder, and I have some video clips inside the video folder here. you'll see that when I go into my HD video folder here for the first time, that SpeedEDIT needs to go through and create some information. Now, it only needs to do this one time, and that information gets cached. So from this point forward, when we come back to this directory, these clips and their information will be displayed instantaneously. Now, from time to time, a clip can become corrupted, and one easy way to try and fix any kind of clip corruption is to clean up the temporary files, and that can be done from right here. If I come down here and say clean temporary files, if I go out of the directory and come back in again, you'll see that SpeedEDIT is going to have to regenerate everything because cleaning up those temporary files deletes all that information. And sometimes that can be the information that gets corrupt and causes a clip to stop working. So it's a great way to go ahead and clean up your clips and make sure everything that's available to SpeedEDIT is going to work without a problem. Now, if you're working with today's tapeless format cameras, these cameras will record digital media to some sort of memory card, and then we need to get that digital media or those clips onto the hard drive of the machine that we're going to be editing with SpeedEDIT. Well, I went ahead and I copied the media off of a camera that I have that records in AVC HD, and I had two different camera sessions. So I just made two folders, and I called one first and one second. And inside those folders, I put what was on that media, what was on the memory card. And if you look at what's on the memory card, it's a pretty deep directory structure where I have a private folder going into an AVC HD folder, going into a BDMV folder, then finally a bunch of folders that I'd have to look through to go, oh, stream, and then here are my video streams. They're MTS files. Now, you can edit directly with these files in the editor in SpeedEDIT, so there is no transcoding. I can use the AVC HD files right in the editor. But instead of having to dig through all of these directories to find my video clips, SpeedEDIT has created a way to find all those clips for you. So I've got my first batch of video here, and I'm just going to delve in one directory, and then I'm going to right-click and say locate the camera rec files. And it will go in and find all those MTS files for me and create instances of them, or pointer files, that I can edit with. I can now grab these and drag them in the editor and start editing with them, and I don't have to dig through all of the folders in that directory hierarchy to find those video clips. So again, I can come back out again, and I can go to my second folder, do the same thing. We'll locate our camera rec files, and there are the video clips ready to be edited. SpeedEDIT also has the ability to capture through the FireWire port and bring in both standard def and HDV video clips from a camera. I'm going to go to my capture panel from the file pull down, and once in the capture panel, I'm going to go ahead and connect my camera to the FireWire port of the computer, and Windows will go ahead and recognize the device, and it will give me a requester asking me what I want to do with the device. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that requester, and then I'm going to hit refresh inside of my capture panel, and my camera shows up. Now, over here is where I'm going to be saving my clips to. So I'm going to go to the project folder, and I'm going to go into video, and this is where my clips will now be saved. And I can give those clips a name, and I'm going to go ahead and call it the project tape A. In case I have several tapes for the same thing, I'm going to have tape A, B, C, D, and then I'll have the different clips that I capture from those tapes coming in with the appropriate names in case I want to go back and recapture them from a tape. So let's go ahead and start our camera playing, and as soon as we do, we get a preview for the camera. Now this will be in 4:3 or 16:9 depending upon what you originally shot, and you get some VU meters, and you can hear the audio as it's playing back as it's coming in. Now, to create a clip, we can go ahead and hit the record button, and it starts to create a clip. And it gives, of course, the base name, what we used here. And at any point in time, if I hit the stop button, it will stop the recording and create the clip for me. Now, another thing that I can do is I can hit the record button, and I can hit the chop button. And every time I hit the chop button, it's going to chop that off, but continue to record. And it never stops recording, so it'll begin the next clip, and then if I hit chop again, it'll go ahead and chop it off and begin the next clip, and so on. Now, we also have the ability to auto chop, which means if I'm recording and the tape gets to a point where the camera had the pause record button pushed, it's automatically going to detect that and create a new scene for me. So it was just pushed right there when we got to the beginning of the kite surfer, and then it went ahead and created a new clip and kept on recording for us. So again, the next time we get to a pause and record hit right there, it's going to go ahead and chop that clip off and start creating the next clip. If I want to stop the process, I go ahead and hit the stop button, and it will generate the final clip for me, and I can start the process over again. You have the ability to capture voiceover directly in, or audio only directly into SpeedEDIT as well. I'm going to just take this HD clip of a balloon, and it's got its own audio track here. Go ahead and take a listen and look at this. So I want to go ahead and put a voiceover track on this. Now to do that, I'm going to go to the File pull down, go to Voiceover, and I get my voiceover requester. Now again, the top area is where I'm going to save the voiceover clip to, and I want to go to the project folder, and I'm going to go to audio, and in here are some audio clips that I copied in there to use as music beds and things like that. I'm going to make a new folder. Just click on new folder and call it VO, and let's go into the VO folder, and this is where we'll save our new clip, and we'll go ahead and give it a name, and we'll call it the project VO. I have VU meters here, and I've got a little trim knob right there allowing me to adjust my VU meters, and again we're using the audio input on our audio card on the computer. Now we've got a couple of options over here. Play on record allows you to play your project and hear your project while it's playing and record the voiceover at the same time. And then insert into timeline will then go ahead and insert that audio right where it was recorded as soon as you hit the stop button. Now the one caveat to using insert into timeline is you want to make sure that timeline ripple is turned off, or it will always stagger the audio clips and not put it in the appropriate spot. But you'll see here, we'll go ahead and back this up, and let's go ahead and record our voiceover. Today at the Balloon Festival, many colorful balloons were launched, and everyone in attendance had a great time. Now you'll see as soon as I hit the stop button, the voiceover appeared. It's also saved to the appropriate directory, and it's now ready to be mixed into my final edit. Today at the Balloon Festival, many colorful balloons were launched, and everyone in attendance had a great time. We'll talk more about creating audio envelopes and audio mixing a little bit later in the tutorial.